Hello YouTubers, and welcome to another servicing video from R166, and here we have a Trix locomotive, American style in Santa Fe logo, and I think it is an EMD F7. Okay, let's have a look at this. The paintwork is kind of chipped. You can see the original colour come through the silver paint at the corners, along the top. The front cow catcher is broken underneath the coupler. That to me indicates that someone has either dropped it or tried to remove this and unsuccessfully broke the cow catcher. Both couplers are present, although this one at the back seems to be a bit kind of squiffy. Otherwise it seems to be complete. Oh, sorry, one of the horns has been broken off. Supposedly a non-runner, so let's have a look at it and see if we can get it, bring it back to life. I'm going to start by applying a little bit of power through the wheels and see if anything happens. I've got about 6 volts. I can't feel anything, can't hear anything. Nothing seems to be happening. If I try to the chassis, to the pickup, nope, it's absolutely dead. Okay, only one thing for it, remove the body. These Trixes are held on with 2 clips, one on each side, so it's just a case of prizing the 2 parts apart and the body should fall out. And right away I can see that there seems to be some kind of intrusion into here, so let me try and remove that. Where did we go? I don't know what it is, it doesn't look right. And the motor doesn't want to turn very well, look at that. Yeah, the motor is absolutely stuck. Right, let's try and take the pressure off. I'm going to remove the bogies. These are held in by pins through the turret. Oops. They're not very tight. Slide in very well. And there's the wheel and the idler wheel in the middle, don't use that. And similarly on the other end, goes in there, comes through here, and the second bogie is removed. And I'm just a quick check, this one came from the rear and this one came from the front, and there's no discernible difference that I can see. So that's good. No worries where they go in. So let's see if I can turn the motor now. No, it's absolutely locked solid. If we had feely vision, you could feel that I'm trying to move that and it's locked solid. Well, nothing else for it. The motor is held in by these 2 cradle ends, so I'll just take this out. It's a lovely day outside. I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping away. So it's nice to hear that again. I think spring is on its way, people. Spring is on its way. So let's gather these screws together, and this should just prise out. go. That bogey, that gear wheel doesn't work very well. That one does. This one is solid. Solid like a rock. Just examine this one first. The one wheel assembly is held in by this black looking plate. So when I take this screw out, this plate slides out, giving access to the one wheel, which now turns freely, so obviously something is jamming with this plate here. Right, let's leave that aside. One motor cradle comes out loose, and that leaves the motor itself, which now seems to be able to turn. So does that mean that the gear wheel was sticking? I don't know what these grey bits are. Well, let's have a look. 5 volts into the motor, and it's fine. One direction, second direction. Okay, so it looks as if it's a mechanical problem with this particular worm wheel. I did one of these very recently, and I've noticed this. Now, can I bring the camera in just a little bit? Right, let's have a look. I'll take this out of the way. Sorry about that. Oops. Right, now, this is a worm wheel, and there's a brass bearing here which sits into that little recess, and there's another recess here, but the brass bearing is out there. Now how on earth would that have got from here to here? Does that mean that some naughty person has had a wee look at this? Right. One thing I've learned is that nothing is going to surprise me anymore. I've seen people take motors out of locomotives, put them on eBay, say non-runner, okay, and then you look, there's no motor. Well, that's why it's not on runner, you idiot. However, that's a personal opinion, because these two collars should fit into these U-shape holders. I just put that back in there. Okay, that runs freely. That runs freely. And before you get worried about it, I'll clean it and lubricate it later on. I'm just trying to eliminate what could be a problem. With my screwdriver. I put my screwdriver down and I cannot see it. There it is there. And now let's see what happens. It's free as a bird. Wow, that is amazing. That means someone has... Oh, what does that mean? Well, it certainly didn't get there by itself, and it wasn't mailed. Right, okay, what we're going to do next? I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to take the motor. So I put it on one side. Sorry, I went and moved my rolling rod on top of it. And this is going to go there. And I just make sure these two connecting collars can fit into this drive shaft comme ça. Et comme ça. Try it this way so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, and you can see there is an attempt at getting it to work. Right, so that was obviously a problem. So while I've got it dismantled, what I'm going to do, bit of cleaning, bit of lubrication, and then reassembly, and then I'll tell you about this little plate here, because there are two ways it can go in, the right way and the wrong way. In no particular order, I removed the motor, I removed both plates holding in the worm screws and both worm screw assemblies, and I'm now left with the bare chassis, which seems to be a single piece moulding which have been cut for various holes and recesses and tapped for the screws. So with a bit of IPA and a little reservoir of lubrication, I'm going to just simply clean the whole machine and clean all the different bits. And I hope I've got some pleasant music for you to listen while I'm doing all this. Examining the worm shaft, I'll just turn around a little bit, you'll find that there is a bearing, brass bearing at the end which slides off, so you have to be careful, and there's also a very fine washer there, little brass washer, so make sure you don't lose those. There is a reciprocal on the other side, and you have to remove this, you have to remove this coupling cup, yes, that's what I call it, although sometimes they're not very easy to remove, in which case you simply leave it alone. And there's the other brass bearing, and in there should just be a little washer. Yes, I hope there is. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, bit of IPA, and we'll clean all of this. And a little bit of cleaning in the grooves. Oh, I keep getting off camera, sorry. It's a pity it's not interactive, isn't it? You could all shout it at telly. Oh, you're out of shot, you're out of shot. Anyway, here we go. Back in, just cleaning that nice and gently. Good. Right. It evaporates quite quickly. So, put the little washer back on again, and the brass bush, and then take a little bit of lubrication. I was out of shot again there, wasn't I? Yeah, okay. Brass bush, brass washer, brass washer, brass bush. Bush washer, washer bush. Just like that. And a little bit of lubrication in that end. So there's one done, and I'll do the other one in exactly the same way. Good, that's those done. These brushes I find in Minitrix are usually so well worn, sorry, not well worn, well wearing, yeah, that's what I meant. So I very rarely had to replace brushes, and if I can look in there, they're about 2mm deep, which I think is more than sufficient. So I'm just going to give a little bit of clean to the commutator by holding the pad there and rotating the armature, and that's okay. And the motor certainly turns alright, so a little bit of lubrication at the bearings in there, and that will work its way in. And I'll just drop some down there in between the insulation washer, and that should work in nicely. This bracket is fixed onto the motor assembly, and the other bracket is loose and just fits over the shaft when reseating it. And I think that is the F7 by Trix, basically ready to be reassembled. These are the one wheel retaining plates, so I'm just going to give them just a little clean. As far as I'm aware, and in all the years I've done this, these two plates can basically fit in any direction. They're quite flat. Right, now for assembly. That runs freely, that runs freely. Right, and now to fit the motor. This is an etched plate that sits beneath the motor inside the chassis. And the bogies have little tail contacts. And when they're in situ, that contact swivels against the plate here. And it's the same on both sides. And they're both oriented that they're both either positive or negative. I call them positive because the negative goes through the chassis. So when I look at the upper side, you'll find that this tail contact is fixed to these wheels closest to you, and it's the same here. So they work as a pair in this way. The other wheels pick up from the track and they're connected directly through the metal casing onto the metal chassis, held in with the little pins, and that completes the circuit. This little plate can be fitted in one of two directions, but it has to marry these two prongs, fingers as I call them, have to marry with the two contacts. There's two little pins at the front and they fit into this slot here. If you fit it one way and then you look at the two fingers of the contacts and how they fit to these plates, you'll find that this way works pretty well. If you get it reversed, then the two fingers, oops, can I get it in properly for you? Sorry, the two fingers yeah, that's right. The two fingers totally bypass the motor contacts. So make sure it goes in this way so that the fingers are pointing to the right as I'm looking at it, and the motor contacts are pointing to the left, like so. Now this end of the motor goes to the rear, the flat end, and this loose bracket has a little pip which I know goes to the front. So the motor will fit in like this, the plate will fit in like this, and you'll also see another little arm that helps brush against the chassis and make a better connection. So that plate in there, the motor like this, and you do need to fit this collar over the shaft axle and sit it there so that it will fit in. Now we have to manoeuvre the worm screws so that the coupling collars line up. First of all, make that one vertical, put that in, and that sits in there. On the other side, the coupling collar on the motor is at right angles, so you have to rotate the motor so that the coupling collar is vertical, which is not always easy. There we go. And then you rotate the gear wheel. Oops, it's moved out again. There, rotate the gear wheel so that the two marry. There we go, just like that. Now I'm going to fit a couple of corner screws, and we should be able to test the locomotive by applying power. So the countersunk screw in one retaining plate, and a countersunk screw in the other retaining plate. Both in so I can tighten them up like so. Make sure it works mechanically, quite free. That's something that's come out, so yeah, that works okay there. Yep, they're both working, I think. Right, and so now I should be able to apply power. Give it a little bit more. I have found that sometimes just relieve the tension in these plates just a little, something still not working. Yeah, I can see that isn't down properly. Aha, right. I noticed that these two little fingers hadn't sat properly into this little cutout on both sides. So can I tighten these again? And try it there and there. Hey! Wow! Let's take the voltage down to nominal 4 volts. And try and just get a touch more. And there we go, 4.5 volts. We could have a Santa Fe locomotive up and running very soon. What do you reckon? Okay, at this point I'm going to fit the other 2 screws and then fit the bogies and see how it goes. Just retrieving the screws from my bin at the side here. And there we go. Right, still working. Yeah, and a lot less noisy because I've taken the vibration out. Isn't that beautiful? You can hardly even hear it from here. Okay, one direction. And the other direction, smooth as butter. While I have these out, I'm going to service these 2. Strip them down, clean them up, give them a bit of lubrication, and of course I've got this coupler here to sort out. Let me turn it around, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. This one's okay, this one seems to have suffered a little bit of a twist or something, so I can sort that. Both bogies stripped down, cleaned, lubricated, rebuilt, and they're running very, very smoothly indeed. One thing I noticed about these, and I saw this in another similar Trix model, was that the couplers are of differing lengths. This is a short one, this is the probably called a medium arm one, and the reason for the difference is that on the body, the short one goes to the rear, but the longer one goes to the front because it has to clear the cow catcher. So this is the front bogie, this is the rear bogie. We're getting near the moment of truth, so I'm going to reassemble these parts. This is a bogie with a shorter coupler, will fit at the rear, and this little tail contact you see there is rubbing against the edge plate. I've also inserted the idler wheel. Yep, so that sits in there, and the pin, which is just over here, fits through the chassis into the turret, and it will find the idler wheel, and that keeps the bogie in. Now for the front one, same arrangement again, idler wheel in, tail contact against the etched copper plate, and the retaining pin through the chassis into the turret, and it will find the idler wheel. And there we go. I ought to be able to get some results, by applying power to the wheels. So I can see it trying to work, so I'm just going to give it a little boost up to about 6 volts. I can feel it trying to work. I'll take it directly to the plates. Yep, and you can see it's working from there. So we just need to overcome the extra torque of the bogies. I can feel it trying to work. This one seems to be more successful. There you go, it's trying to work there. Not so successful there. Or there. Or there. Right, yep, it's trying to. At this stage, it'd be worthwhile just having a quick look at this bogie again to make sure that the contacts are okay. It certainly works from here. I bypass the pickups. So the insulated ones are here. No. There. Okay, I might as well have a look at it while I'm here. It turned out that when I rebuilt this, one of the contact plates wasn't quite in place. Just realised I'd left the screw out, so just let me fit this in case anything goes wrong. And hopefully I don't need to disassemble this again. So let's try it. First of all, directly power there, and you can see it all. Well, that's my Minitrix Santa Fe locomotive. I'm pretty sure it's an EMDS7 model, and you can see it running nicely there. My camera decided to play at silly beggars and stopped working for me. And after a few aborted attempts, I've managed to get it recording this little section here. When I was working on the bogie, it turned out that the pickups weren't quite located properly, and when I assembled them, they had decided to dislodge, and that's what caused the problem. So anyway, that's all working. The mystery being, how did that brass bush go from one side of the frame to the other? I don't know. Perhaps some fairy's working on it. Anyway, it's now working, and I had to decide, should I work on the body shell? I'm not very good at updating body shells, so I might just leave it as is for the time being. As we come round again, I want to show you another Trix F7, which I just recently repaired, and here it is. It's a Pen Central, which I recently just restored, and you can see it is running beautifully. So I've now got two of the same type of locomotive, and they both have totally different faults. So at this point I'm just going to wrap this one up. As it comes round, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed that. It was certainly interesting to prepare, and if you want to, I'm going to ramble on a wee bit. I'll try again. As we watch it running round, I would just like to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give me a like. Maybe any comments you want to make favourably, that'd be nice. And if you like N-gauge repairs or even locomotive repairs, I sometimes do double O-gauge as well, then please subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I have to say, not that it makes any difference to me, because I don't get any more claim out of it, but it just seems to be the end thing. So there's the Penn Central repair a wee while ago, and there's the Santa Fe. They're both roughly the same locomotive. So with that, I'll just wish you all good health, keep safe, and until these restrictions are finally lifted, just remember facts. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.